Welcome to this explainer. Have you ever actually stopped to think about what happens when you speak? Like, really think about it. You push some air out of your lungs, you move your mouth around, and somehow these incredibly complex thoughts are transmitted invisibly through the air right into someone else's brain. It's kind of wild. In the next 10 minutes alone, you're going to use over 100 different muscles just to communicate. So today, we are going to uncover the fascinating biological mechanics and the universal codes behind human communication. We're going to completely break down the science of how we produce, transmit, and understand speech. Okay, so here is our roadmap for today. We've got 1, the 3 branches of phonetics, 2, the anatomy of human speech, 3, classifying consonants, 4, understanding vowels, and 5, the power of the IPA. Let's dive right in.
Part 1. The 3 branches of phonetics.
To truly get how speech works, we first have to ask a pretty fundamental question. How exactly does a simple puff of air become a meaningful word? Answering that requires a huge multidisciplinary approach that spans biology, physics, and psychology. Linguists actually tackle this by dividing phonetic study into 3 main branches, which gives us a really complete view of a sound's entire life cycle.
Here's how we break it all down. First up, we have articulatory phonetics. This studies how our bodies, specifically the human vocal tract, actually physically produce the sound. Then, once that sound leaves our lips, acoustic phonetics takes over. This branch measures the tangible physical properties of those sound waves as they travel through the air. And finally, auditory phonetics examines the landing, right? How our ears and brains actually perceive and interpret those acoustic signals.
Moving on to Part 2. The anatomy of human speech.
Just look at the sheer number of biological parts involved here. It's amazing. Air takes a physical path, starting from the larynx, which is your voice box, up through the pharynx, and past various articulators. Notice the soft palate, or the velum, right at the back. Then the alveolar ridge, which is just behind your upper teeth. And of course, your lips and tongue. These are your articulators. They're the moving parts that shape raw, flowing air into distinct, recognizable sounds.
The whole journey literally starts with a single breath. Your diaphragm pulls air into your lungs, and they act a lot like organic bellows. As that air is forced up and out, it hits your larynx. Inside, there are 2 muscular flaps called the vocal folds, and they act a bit like vibrating reeds on a saxophone. As the air pushes through them, the pharynx, mouth, and nasal cavities serve as these amazing resonating chambers, amplifying the sound before your articulators step in to do the final shaping.
All right, Part 3, classifying consonant sounds.
So when we disrupt or block that flowing airstream, we create consonants. And the very first way we classify them is by checking the voice box. Actually, try this with me right now. Put your hand completely flat on your throat and make the sound of a buzzing bee, like zzz. Do you feel that vibration? That means your vocal folds are sucked together and they're vibrating. We call that a voiced sound. Now hiss like a snake. Sss. The vibration completely stops, right? Your vocal cords are being held apart, letting air flow freely through the glottis. That is what we call a voiceless sound.
Beyond just that buzzing, consonants are mapped on a kind of grid, using 2 main things, place and manner. The place is exactly where the maximum obstruction is happening in your mouth. For instance, a bilabial sound uses both lips. Think of the p or b sound. An alveolar sound happens when your tongue taps that little ridge behind your teeth, like for a t or d. The manner, on the other hand, is how you obstruct the air. Are you completely blocking the air and then suddenly releasing it with an audible puff? Well, that's a plosive. Or are you forcing air through a tiny, narrow gap to create friction? That's a fricative.
Which brings us to Part 4, understanding vowel sounds. Now, if consonants are all about blocking the air, vowels are literally the exact opposite. They rely entirely on an open, continuous airflow through the vocal tract. There's no major obstruction at all. We generally divide them into 2 types. First up, we have monophthongs, which comes from the Greek words for single sound. These are pure, steady-state vowels where your tongue stays in one fixed position. Then we have diphthongs, or double sounds, which are these gliding vowels where your tongue actually moves from one target position to another, but all within the exact same syllable.
Because there's no fixed point of contact to measure with vowels, linguists map these open sounds strictly by the highest point of your tongue. Notice the axes here. Is the tongue bunched up to the front, the central, or the back of the mouth? And is the jaw relatively closed, or is your mouth wide open? Literally every single vowel you speak plots a specific coordinate on this invisible map inside your mouth.
Comparing these 2 sets side by side, you can really see the difference in action. A monophthong, like the ah sound in car, requires exactly one articulatory position. But a diphthong, like the ow sound in now or cowardly, requires your mouth to glide smoothly from an open ah position right into a rounded oo position. It's two entirely different vowel qualities beautifully blended into a single beat of sound. Okay, part 5, the power of the IPA. So with all these different places of articulation, manners, and tongue heights, human beings can produce a staggering variety of sounds. To standardize this incredible biological variety, linguists realized they needed a universal code. Because let's face it, the problem with standard alphabets, especially in English, is that spelling is notoriously inconsistent. One letter can make many sounds, and many letters can make just one sound. So, building on an early model created by Pitman and Ellis in 1847, the International Phonetic Association met in Paris in 1888. Their goal? To design the International Phonetic Alphabet, or the IPA. The guiding principle was super elegant and ambitious. There should be a unique universal symbol to represent every distinct sound, or phoneme, in every single human language.
And the sheer grand complexity of what they actually achieved is just incredible. On the official IPA consonant chart, you'll see places of articulation across the top, from the lips at the front all the way to the glottis at the back. Down the side, you see the manners of articulation, plosives, nasals, fricatives. Every single cell gives us a unique symbol. Using this exact framework, a trained linguist can accurately decode and pronounce literally any spoken word in the world, even if they don't speak the language it belongs to. Now, you might be thinking, okay, this is just some niche tool for academic linguists. But no, it's actually incredibly practical. It's the standard used in dictionaries to show you how a word is actually pronounced. It's heavily used by speech-language pathologists, by singers and actors mastering new accents, and, absolutely crucially, it is used as a foundation to create brand new writing systems to help preserve endangered, previously unwritten languages. It's a real game changer.
And finally, part 6, the auditory landing. To complete the journey of a sound, we have to shift our focus from the speaker over to the listener. Auditory phonetics focuses on how that structured, vibrating air finally strikes the eardrum. The acoustic wave travels right down the outer ear canal, vibrating the eardrum. That energy passes through the tiny bones of the middle ear and reaches the fluid-filled cochlea in the inner ear. From there, the auditory nerve translates these physical vibrations into neurological signals, sending them straight to the brain where they are ultimately perceived and understood as language. It is a truly breathtaking process when you step back and look at it. A thought triggers a muscle, a diaphragm drops, vocal folds buzz, an alveolar ridge creates a plosive, the air ripples, an eardrum vibrates, and a connection is instantly made. And all of it happening in fractions of a second. So the next time you speak, take a brief moment to marvel at this lightning-fast coordination of anatomy and physics. It really makes you wonder, as technology continues to evolve, will we one day decode human thought before a single puff of air even leaves our lungs? Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.